Hi, travelers. Today I thought I'd talk with you about CHASCA, the new Animo DPS from Natline. After building my CHASCA and trying her out, I think I can share my first impressions of her. But first, let's talk about Night Soul Burst because it's a key mechanic for Natline characters. When your party has a Natline character using an elemental skill, elemental burst, or any elemental damage like charged shots, infused normal attacks, or even catalyst attacks, on an enemy triggers Night Soul Burst. You'll see this as a little white circle that pops up on your screen. But let me make this clear. Night Soul Burst does nothing on its own. It's just a trigger for effects tied to Natline characters, weapons, and artifacts that incorporate it into their mechanics. To make it more frequent, you can add more Natline characters to your team. With 1, 2, or 3 plus Natline characters, the cooldown for Night Soul Burst gets shorter. Now, let's talk about Night Soul's Blessing, another Natland exclusive mechanic. It works a bit like a stamina bar and acts as the duration for their elemental skills. When you activate an elemental skill, you'll see the Night Soul points bar appear on the side of the screen. This bar is what fuels the skill. If your Night Soul points run out but you still have phlogiston, your character will switch to consuming phlogiston instead. This keeps their elemental skill going for even longer, which is super handy in combat. Firstly, let's talk about talents. Her elemental skill is the core of her kit. When you activate it, she starts riding her giant sniper rifle, entering the Night Soul Blessing state. In this state, her movement speed increases, and she gains interruption resistance. While in Night Soul Blessing, using a charged attack lets her load bullets. These bullets can either deal anemo damage or become infused with elemental damage based on the characters in your team. Here's how the bullets work. The first 2 bullets will always deal anemo damage. The third bullet is based on luck. It can be either anemo or infused. The remaining 3 bullets are always infused with an element depending on the characters in your party. She can infuse with pyro, cryo, electro, or hydro. Her elemental burst is straightforward but powerful. She fires 6 Soul Seeker shells, 4 deal anemo damage, 2 get infused with elemental damage, again based on your party composition. The way you play her is like this. Start with your supports to apply buffs, then activate her elemental skill and start firing at the enemy. If they're still standing, finish them off with her elemental burst. That'll usually be enough to seal the deal. Let's talk artifacts now. Her best set is Obsidian Codex. The 2-piece bonus increases her damage by 15% when she's in Night Soul's Blessing, which activates when you press E. The 4-piece bonus gives her a massive 40% crit rate boost for 6 seconds after using her elemental skill. For artifact stats, here's what you want. Sands. Damage percent for Goblet. Damage percent is the best because the damage from the bullets are attack scaling, and for Circlet, crit damage or damage percent. If you choose crit rate, you'll likely hit the cap quickly. Getting her crit rate capped is super easy. She gains 24.2% crit rate from Ascension, 40% from Obsidian Codex, and another 30% from artifacts. That's already 94.2% crit rate. If you haven't unlocked the domain for Obsidian Codex yet, you can go for Wanderer's Troop, Shimenawa's Reminiscence, or Marishoshi Hunter if you're playing her with Furina. Now for weapons. Her best 4-star weapon is Flower Wreath Feathers. CHASCA's elemental skill works like charged attacks, so the bow's passive is a perfect match. As you charge her attacks during fights, the damage bonus builds up, making her hit much harder. Other great options include Scion of the Blazing Sun from the Battle Pass or Chainbreaker, which is forgeable, so free to play friendly. Her best weapon overall is her signature bow, Astral Vulture's Crimson Plumage. It boosts her attack, charged attack, and elemental burst damage, all the main sources of her damage. Now let's talk talents. For leveling, elemental skill is your top priority since most of her damage comes from the bullets fired during her skill. Elemental burst comes next because it adds a solid amount to her overall damage. Normal attacks can stay at level 1 since her damage doesn't scale with them. Now let's break down her best team options. CHASCA works best in a team with 4 unique elements to maximize reactions and provide solid buffs. Bennett to boost CHASCA's attack with his elemental burst. The burst also heals CHASCA even while she's in the Night Soul Blessing state, flying mid-air. Perfect synergy for both offense and survivability. Furina for her off-field hydro damage and support abilities complement CHASCA's playstyle. She adds consistent hydro application and buffs the team's damage output, making reactions smoother. Ororon, who brings solid off-field damage with follow-up attacks and helps refund energy for the on-field character. This lets CHASCA stay in her rotation longer without worrying about energy needs. Together, this team gives CHASCA all the buffs and all field damage she needs to deal massive swirl reactions while staying the main damage dealer. It's a balanced mix of buffs, reactions, and healing. You can also use other supports or sub-DPS characters like Shangling, Fischl, Layla, Rosaria, Sarah, Kokomo, Candace, Shinhei, Kuki. There are a ton of options to choose from. That's it for today's breakdown on CHASCA. I hope you've learned a bit more about this amazing Natlan character. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you found this helpful, and share your thoughts in the comments. Catch you in the next one, travelers.